Hey guys, this is Kat, aka Stitching Out Loud here on YouTube, Ravelry, and Instagram. So, for anybody that's watched the video of my little crochet project that I'm working on, I wanted to show you how I'm actually putting the squares together. Now, usually, well, I say usually, but the most common practice, and I'm going to try and do this with the camera in front of me like this. Oh, and before I forget, today is Thursday, July 18th, 2019. I've been working on this project, making these little granny squares since 2013, and probably before. I do have a project page set up in Ravelry for this. So if you want to go over and take a look, I actually have a video, or not a video, but instructions. If you crochet, I have instructions on how I make my squares. There are several different ways that you can make them. This is what I've chosen. So, and I've made every single square the same pattern. Hopefully end with the same crochet hook, which I used. I love these. This is my Clover size D. I love these crochet hooks, so I highly recommend them. Anyways, so I've used this same crochet hook for every single square in order to get as close to symmetry as possible. It is kind of hard because sometimes even if you're using the same hook and you're using the same tension, if a thread or yarn is a little bit thinner than another type of yarn, it'll still end up a little bit smaller or bigger depending on how thick the yarn is, even though it's quote unquote fingering or sock yarn or whatever. So anyways, so back to the project. Normally, well, I say normally, a lot of people like to join the squares as they go. Personally, that's not what I wanted to do because I wanted total randomness in this blanket. So I'm trying not to, when I put it together, I'm trying to randomly, here, I'll show you guys right quick. I'm going to move this. Here's my bin. You can see my project that I've got here. So I have all 2,000 squares in here, and I just randomly reach in. I don't even look. Randomly reach in and pull out a square and join it where I need to. And as long as it's not the same colorway, because I could pretty much tell which ones. There are some that are kind of close to each other, or you know, like the dye lot, or not the dye lots, but the colorways might be a little bit close to each other. I can kind of tell just by looking at it which one is from a dye lot. If it's really, or not a dye lot, but a colorway, if it's really just too close, I'll throw it back in there and pick something else. I just want total randomness in this. So a lot of times, or most of the times, people will actually line these up and crochet these together and then add two more and then just go vertically up and down. Let me lay this here too. Let me move this over here. So normally the idea is to just seam it together here and then seam it together here. What I have decided to try, and I've figured out a method. I haven't seen this method done before, so I don't know if this is a new technique I'm coming up with or whatever. I don't know. But I will show you what I'm doing. I'm going to actually not use these because those are really bright and it kind of throws off the colors, it looks like. So my idea is to take the corner square. This is the very corner square that will be in the bottom or top or whatever of the blanket. My idea is to start here in the corner and crochet these two together, and then drop, well, I don't want to say drop this color, but actually turn this corner and put these two together, so that I'm making kind of a stepping stone like that. So then when I do the next one, or the next row, I'm calling it a row, to me it's like corner to corner, as if it's like this. And so the next row I will add here, go here, and then the next one will go right here in this corner. And I'm sorry these are like curling up, but just to kind of give you an idea. So I'll go here and then come here and then attach these two together. And then to complete the row, I'll add in another right here. So as you can see, I start out with 1, and I'll add 2 for the next row, and then 3 for the next row, and then the next one will actually be here, and then I'll go here, here, and then another one here on the outside. So I hope that makes sense, and if you have any questions, just comment below, hit me up, and hopefully I can help you a little bit more. But I'm going to actually show you right now how I'm actually going to do it. And I hope I could do this. I hope this video can show you how I actually crochet these. So now for the whole thing, I'm using this natural sock yarn. It's not indie dyed or anything. So I'm going to make a slip knot. This is going to be rough because I'm trying to look at the screen. My camera's like right in front of me. I'm going to try and look at the screen as I'm doing this. But now my idea, so when you start, you're going to have 2 back-to-backs, so that when you crochet them together here, they'll lay flat, and you'll have a little ridge here on top. And what I try to do is, when I do this, I try to kind of set them up to where I'm actually crocheting over the ends of my work, so that everything kind of gets tucked in. There was a lot of people that when they saw my squares, they're like, "Oh, why are you leaving the tails sticking out? How come you didn't weave them in or whatever?" And I'm like, because I'm just going to crochet over the top. So, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my crochet hook, and I'm going to start right here in the corner. And you can see I have 3 double crochets, 2 chains right here, and then 3 more double crochets. I'm going to start right here in the corner. And again, these are back to back. I'll put those 2 together, just like that. Take my slip knot. And tighten it up. I'm sorry, I don't know how well this is going to work out. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to pull that through. I'm sorry, that's the tray making noises. So I pull that through, and I'm going to make a single crochet, well, not a single crochet, but another slip knot. And that's kind of like my base to hold this together. And I'm actually going to do a single crochet right in the same space, right next to it. And again, I'm trying to hold all my work, or the threads, together so that all of this gets covered up. And there's my first, that's a single crochet right there. Now, sorry, I'm gonna have to put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. So you could see right here, let me move this, right here on the top of the work, you can see these little V's, the top of your double crochets. That's where you want to work into. Go in right here on the first one in the front, and then you want to go, you'll be able to tell for those of you that are seasoned crocheters, go through here and again tuck that tail in, single crochet, and then another. Now sometimes it's kind of tricky, so you just have to really look. If you have to turn your work all the way around and see what you're doing, then that's what you got to do until you really get used to it. Go to the next one here. Going into this one. These right here are really tricky because there's a knot right there where I closed off the where I ended the round and finished it up. Okay, now I'm going to start crocheting over the top of the tail for that purple one and back. Okay, and then here's a single crochet here that I have between my clusters. So I'm going to do a single crochet there. And now I'm going to start with the double crochets, go right into the top of those. I'm going to kind of tie this off, or not tie it off, but make a little loop here so I could show you what the other side looks like. So when you open it up, you can see that it's going into both of them. And they're together. So just to give you an idea. So there's the next one. I should have used two light colors. Go right in there. Sometimes it's kind of hard to see, and so I really need good lighting for this. Here's the next one. And so like this, I mean, this is like just a little tiny tail, and I'm coming up on another one. So I don't want to, I'm sorry, there's this little tiny tail from the very beginning, and I don't want to have too many tails at one time. That's me personally. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and pull it in between and kind of sandwich it between the two backs, so that this way I don't have too many tails running along under that work. So go into the chain one space and make sure you do it on both sides, just like that. Here's another. This is my chain here where I started the very last of the round. So if you have to finagle it somehow to just wherever you would normally join or go through that chain like that at the top. Sometimes it's really difficult because if you pull it too tight when you finish off, or as you're working it happens. Okay. I'm trying not to go off the screen, you guys. So here we're almost to the end. And I hope I'm not boring you guys with this. It is, once you get going on this, I mean, it is slow work, but once you get going, it's really very easy because you're just doing single crochets. I grabbed that purple by accident. Okay, and I'm gonna do one last single crochet right here right here in the corner in the chain 2. And these I'm gonna drop the purple because I've been carrying it along a little bit, and I'm actually gonna carry the gray along this side, because what I'm gonna do is, as you can see, did I finish that off? I don't think I finished that off, did I? Well, sorry about that. Finish that off with a single crochet in the corner. And now, like I said, I'm going to drop the purple. Now, the idea here is to add a square right here on this side, if you remember from the other little diagram. So I'm going to grab another one here. And again, I'm going to try and keep the tails as I'm trying to work the tails in as I go so that everything stays secure. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to chain 1, and this is going to be, the chain 1 is going to be like an anchor for the next row, the next row coming up. So, and you'll see what I mean when I get to that. So again, I'm dropping this purple. I'm going to keep the gray to carry it along. And again, you want to put the 2 backs together. So this is the front. I'm still working with the front. And this is the front. So I'm going to flip it over and put these 2 backs together. Okay. So I have my chain 1, and what I want to do is go, make sure that this is laying on top, go into that chain 2 corner again, make sure you go into the chain 2 corner of the next one to attach, and you're just going to do a single crochet, and now they're attached. And make sure that that little tail is still there, hanging on. There's the for the blue one, or the aqua colored. And then you start working the double crochets across. Well, the double crochets and the single chains. Work those across. Usually once you start tucking the tail in, the tail will actually kind of just lay there, and just make sure you crochet over the top of it. Here comes a difficult one, because as you can see, this is where I ended this, so I've got a knot and a chain there. So I mean, if you really wanted to, I guess you can go into the space, the chain 1 space next to it, but I try not to. I like using up these. I try to do stitch per stitch, if that makes any sense. Okay. I hope this is not blurry. It doesn't look like it. I'm like looking at it from my side here. Okay. Now we're doing the chain into the chain 1 right there, a single crochet, and now we're going into the doubles, making sure those tails get tucked in. Now if you don't want to, you don't have to worry about the tails. Leave them hanging behind, tuck them in later if you want. However you want to do it, it's your choice. I'm just showing you guys how I do it. And it's always an option. Everything I'm doing here is optional. Do it how you want to do it. I was thinking about it. Kind of, that corner is kind of like, almost like a little cradle when you go to put the next row in. There we go. And we're coming up on the end. And I'm sorry I'm not talking that much. I'm really trying to concentrate on being able to see the video, being able to make this video watchable, and being able to still work at the same. Honestly, I don't know how podcasters do it, or people who do tutorials all the time. You gotta hand it to you guys. You really know what you're doing. Okay, so here at the corner, because this is the end of my row for these two, I'm sorry, for these three, I should say, I'm going to do a single crochet as you normally would. And for me personally, I'm going to do one more, because it's the end, I'm going to do one more single crochet here. I'm going to make this one a little snug, just so that when I pull this off, I'm going to leave a little tail. I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to pull this snug. And there you go. You've crocheted 3 squares together. Now, I cut the tail because since this is the very corner, I'm pretty much, I'm done. I'm done with this row, or putting these 2 rows together. So what I did with the blanket, with this one that I've already done, of course I'm going to have to take these apart that I've just did here on camera. Let me show you this one. Now what I did was, I started here in this corner, and as you can see, just like the other one, I went this way and then over this way. And then on the next row, because I didn't want, and this is, you could do it however you want, like I said. If you want to, you could start back over here and then go this way and end over here. But what I've chosen to do is actually turn my work around and go the opposite direction and go here, so that I have a tail on this end. And the reason for doing that, for me personally, the reason I did that is so that I don't have all the tails on one end, and I'm not trying to work, when I go to put on the border, I'm not trying to work over all of those tails that are just on one side. Now you could do that if you want, you know, if you're okay with doing that, then that's fine. I'm just trying to make it kind of balanced, I guess you could say, so that this way I'll have tails on this end, tails on this end, and it won't get too bulky with too many tails only on one side. So, and as you can see, there's tons of tails from where because I do leave them, I do leave the squares like this one. Sometimes I'll leave the tails a little long, and I did that on purpose, just to, for this purpose, just to make sure that I'm going to have a good anchor, and it's not going to slip out and start unraveling, or, you know, whatever. So, later on, once I'm done putting this all together, I'll probably go through and snip them, you know, kind of short. This one's actually pretty short, so I'll probably just leave that one like that, and maybe this one. But these longer ones like this, I'll probably snip them a little bit shorter. I know a lot of people don't like seeing the ends. If you don't like seeing them, you can tuck them in. I would not recommend cutting them short. Personally, I would tell you to leave them sticking out a little bit like this, because if you cut shorter, once you wash it, it's just going to start popping out somewhere else, and then you're just going to cut it, and it's going to start popping out somewhere else the next time you wash it. I would just leave them sticking out a little bit like this. Just so that you don't end up keep cutting on them, and the next thing you know, you end up, cutting the actual work because you're not sure where it's at, or, I'm just saying to be on the safe side. So let me pull this back over and I'll show you how to do the next row. So like I said, you could do either way. You could start over here if you wanted, but I'm going to start on this side. Like I said, I've already got these 3 tails right here, so I don't want to add another tail on this side. So I'm going to take the work, and again, you want to put 2 backs together. Let me bring my yarn back. Let's do another loop here. Or no, I'll leave this a little bit longer just so I can anchor it better. Do a slip knot. Okay. So the first one I'm going to attach is you always want to make sure that you attach on the end, coming straight out. Okay. So you don't want to start here and then put one here. I mean, I guess you could do that if you want, but then you'd have to come over here and attach one here, and then come back and attach one here if you're making a square or rectangle. So I'm going to start here. Grab this corner. There's my chain 2 right there on the corner. Okay. Right there. I'm going to take this one. Same thing. There's my chain 2 for this one. Slip that into both. Tighten that slip knot. Now, I actually started doing, and I wanted to show you guys, this is another option to help anchor these tails. Okay, so I'm going to pull through, and I missed it. I'm actually going to use both of them to put that slip knot, just like that. So I pulled 2 threads, both of the tail and the working yarn. I pulled both of them through. And that's just to help, like I said, help to anchor it. And I'm going to do a single crochet right here on the corner. And crochet right over the top of that tail. There we go. I'm just going to, watch, I'm going to pull that a little tight. Just to tighten that up, and we're ready to go. And again, do these double crochets. Right through the back there. One more here. Sometimes it's hard to tell. Oh, here we go, right here on the top. Now we'll go here into the single, or the chain 1 space on both sides. Anchor those down. Whoops. Sorry about that. Try this again. There we go. If I can figure it out, maybe I'll do time lapse so you guys aren't totally completely bored. There we go. Last one here. There. Go through the chain 1 space on both again. Ah, these knots are so crazy to get through. There we go. I should have done one of those like they do on the TV shows where they're like the cooking shows. Here, cook all these vegetables. Okay, now put it in the oven, and oh look, there's already one in here that's already baked. And yeah, that's what I should have done. Okay, here we're coming up on the corner, so we're gonna do this last one. Single crochet right here in the corner. Try to get all those tails tucked in if you can. Now, let me pull this out so you can see how it's coming along. And there you go. So you've got there. So what we're going to do is add another one right here. So I'm trying not to use anything that's too bright. I do have some fluorescent colored ones, and I think it throws the color of the video off. So we're adding one here. Okay. So because we don't have that foundation already started, we're just going to do a single crochet, a chain 1 right here. And because we want to add it here, we're actually going to skip over. We're going to kind of drop this one off, and we're going to be working on this edge here. And with the new one, with the new square. So we did a chain 1, go right here into the chain 2 corner, and you're hooking to the chain 2 corner of that aqua colored one that we just did. The same one. We're kind of turning the corner on this aqua colored one and attaching with a single crochet, and then you work across. I'm sorry, I'm using a TV tray to videotape this on because that's all I have. The lighting here in the living room is probably about the best that we have, so I'm trying to... Okay, so we did the 3 crochets. Now we're going into the the chain 1. And then the 3 double crochets. Did I say the 3 single crochets? No. I meant the 3 double crochets. And sometimes you can just turn it and look at the top, and you can see the V's where you need to go. Right through there. Boop. God, I'm gonna have to review this video. I might have to redo it. I might have to go and get an actual video camera stand or phone stand. Okay, through a single right here. I mean, the chain 1, I'm going to pick up here, which is really, put it right over that knot. Make sure you go through that double crochet and back. Okay, make sure you get that tail in. Here's the double crochet. And we're coming up on that corner. I'm going to show you what I do to anchor this all together, or else you're going to have a hole if you don't. So what I'm going to do is, we're right here at the corner. So we're going to go in like normal, do a single crochet through those two corners. And now what I'm going to do is, because, let me pull this so I could show you. So there we are. Do you see how that's laid out now? So we're working, we just worked this. We started here, putting these two together. And then we added this one to this one. And we went here. And if I was to chain one, like we normally did, if I was to chain one and then start connecting these two together, there's going to be a hole right here in the middle. You see my finger kind of sticking out there? And I didn't want that. I kind of figured, once I actually started working it and thinking it through before I even started, and I guess it's just, you know, I've been crocheting for like 30 years, I think. Probably not that long, probably more like 20, but 20 or 25. I just kind of had a feeling that, like, thinking about it, I was like, oh, what I'm going to have to do is figure out how to bring these corners together so that I don't end up with a hole. So we did this single crochet into the corners, and what I want to do is that chain one that I made right here on this corner, after I joined the two right here at the corner, I chained one, if you recall, and then joined over here on this side, these two corners together, and continued on. What I want to do is, oh, I have a chain one there, I don't want that. You don't want that chain one there when you get to these corners like this. When you come to the junction, I should say. And you don't want a hole, so what you want to do is you want to go under that chain one that you made on the previous row. Go right through there, just like you would do at the chain ones in the actual work, and then just make a single crochet. And that kind of pulls all of that together. Let me pull this out so you can see. So you see, that'll pull all of that together, and it'll make it nice and tight to where you're not going to have a hole right here in the middle. So there we go. Let me pick this back up, and I'll finish this row. Now I'm going to continue. I'm going to try and carry this along. This one I'm dropping because what I want to do is when I come back through here, no, I carried along. I'll carry both of them along since there's only two. Change my mind. But if you don't want to do that, you can. Okay, you could do it, or you can carry it if you want. Don't if you don't feel like it. Okay, so we did the chain one into that, or the single crochet into that corner to pull it all together. And now we're going to go here, and we're turning the corner, and we're going to attach to this other one on the outside with a single crochet. So those are all joined together, and now you start working your double crochets and your chain ones. Okay, I'm going to pause this and finish working this across, and then I will show you how the work is going after I get to the end. See you in just a minute. Okay guys, here we go. I just finished adding in this little multicolor sparkly one here. I don't know if you could tell, but it's got sparkles. So we started here, added these two together, turned the corner, added these two together, attached here, and like I said, I don't know how close I could get with this, but joined right here that chain one with a single crochet right here on the corner, just so you don't have a hole. Now if you really wanted to, you could leave it, like if you feel like you want that little hole there, you could do it. Some people like the more open work because there's so many holes here in a granny square. You can totally leave that if you want. I'm doing this for security purposes, just to make sure that that's not going to start pulling apart. And the last thing we need to do is add, you want to have kind of like a zigzag all the way across when you're doing these. So I'm going to add one more square here, and then we'll be done with that row. So let me go ahead and show you right quick. Again, this is still attached, and I'm going to actually drop these two tails here. Just going to tuck them under there, get them out of the way. Almost, hold on a second here. I lost my little loop, my hook loop. Okay, so again, you want to make sure you do a single crochet in through both of these works in that last chain two space there in the corner. And because we're not coming to a junction like we did here, we're just going to chain one so that chain one is there when you do the next row, and you have that chain one there to hook into on that junction. And so I'm adding this square, and I want to go into the chain two here on the corner, and the chain two here on this purple one, or whatever color you're working on. And then single crochet, and then you go all the way across as normal, right through there. Okay. Go through 3 double crochets. Make sure you do the chain ones, or if you do granny squares where you have a chain two here, then do 2 single crochets through there instead of just 1, because my squares are 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets, chain 1. I'm only doing 1 single crochet when I'm joining those. Okay, so I'm gonna pause this and finish this off, and I'll show you what the end of the row looks like. See you in a second. Okay, you guys, here I am at the end of the row. Got my little tail there, and again I'm going to do a single crochet right here in the corner. And because this is the very end, now these are done like at regular tension, but when I add that very last single crochet here at the end, this one's going to be just a little bit more snug. I'll pull it just a little snugly and then snip it off because I don't want it to have a too harsh of a corner right there. If I leave it too loose, it'll stick out like a sore thumb, like burp. So there we go. That is the third row we just finished. See how pretty this looks with all the tails out of the way, hopefully. And as you can see, as you're working them and putting them together, these will actually start to lay more flat, and you can see like these ends right here just curling up. Unless you your tension is so that your squares lay perfectly flat. So some people do that. I don't know how, but some people are able to do